T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game, not a game, not a game. We talking about practice. Yeah. Not a game, not a game.
Me. Bam, bam. Me, man.
Not a game.
Slap that like she scored 30.
What are we even talking about, man? We talking about sports here.
We're talking about sports here.
What's up, fellas?
What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing?
Shit, ready. Game
Ready?
5.
Ready for
Do or
another
die.
pregame show?
Game 5, win or cry. Go, baby, go.
Big Game 5 vibes from Ron tonight.
Yeah.
With the,
Well, if you guys couldn't tell, it's Game 5. We're here. We talking about sports, and we're here to give you guys another preview. We're going to look back and talk some Game 4. But before we get into all of that, Ben, Ron, Justin, how y'all doing?
Doing really well. I'm ready. I'm excited for this game. I need this game because Boston broke my fucking heart in Game 4. They played 3 quarters of basketball and they needed to play 4, and they didn't do it. There were some choke artists. The way Steph has been a choke artist in the 4th, that's what they did. So we need some redemption here. Go C's. Let's cover the line. Let's go up 3-2.
yeah, man, I'm doing fine too. Looking forward to this game. Like Ron said, Game 4 was pretty crazy the way it played out in the 4th quarter. Complete opposite of the way the first 3 games had gone in the 4th quarter. So excited to see how the Celtics respond tonight.
What about you, Justin?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. Just enjoying this NBA Finals. Don't have to have the blood pressure from having my team in there because it's been a war this series. They're trading off games. Do we expect that again tonight? We're about to find out.
Definitely been a good series. A bunch of adjustments being made throughout. A bunch of the zigzag theory, or teams just responding to one another. The Celtics, as we all know, are one of the best at bouncing back off of a loss. We're going to see that comes to play here in Game 5. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention, because we were on here a couple of days ago talking MMA. Did you guys watch the card? I just want to talk about that real quick before we get into Game 5.
Yeah, I watched the card. It was awesome. I shat on the card almost that whole MMA tap hour, but the main event just really delivered. And I think we had the Talia Santos fight wrong. I didn't expect that much resistance from her, and the way she showed out. A little bit sad about the Boogie Woman retiring, but it is what it is. She's had a great career. She's still the GOAT, in my opinion, because of her defenses, and that's unmatched. Rose had the chance to tie that up, and she didn't. She lost to Carla Esparza. For that reason, Joanna, she's retiring the GOAT.
I'm not going to argue there. It was a little sad watching her go out the way that she did, so dramatically within a split second. It was lights out for her. And I watched some of the presser or the post-fight pressers, and she was teared up. I mean, she was retiring. You can tell she's somebody who really loves being a fighter. Yeah. Calls herself the UFC shoulder, so yeah. I got to give her love. And I guess Valentina, the split decision, didn't expect that. And the main event, I got to give it up to Glover, even though he lost it at the end. And I got to give myself a pat on the back because that over, it was an easy bet for me. And Ben, how was the card for you?
Yeah, so Justin, you said you shat on the card. We didn't just shit on the card. We had like diarrhea on that card. For our breakdown, we didn't expect it to be that good. Gene in the comments saying it was a 10 out of 10. I don't know about 10 out of 10. I didn't watch the co-main event. I didn't see the Santos and Shevchenko fight. I told y'all, God bless you if you'd be watching that shit. And I mean, it seems like it turned out to be, I guess, a little bit better of a fight. You got Diego here saying Valentina lost in his opinion, so maybe I'll have to go back and rewatch that one. But I did see that knockout. I thought that was such a crazy knockout. I didn't think that the second fight would live up to the hype of the first one, but that first round was insane. And Joanna was in a lot of bad positions for the most part of that fight, to be honest. You know what I mean? She's tough. She was hanging in there, but it might just be time. That 2-year layoff might have been for a reason. You know what I mean? When we say that some fights take a lot out of a fighter, that war that she had with Wei Li, that first one, it might have taken a lot out of her, bro.
That's her career.
Yeah, that's career changing because we remember how bad she looked. You know what I mean? So that was just crazy to see the way that she got knocked out, the way that she fell forward. It was crazy. And then in the main event, you know, you called it, Roland, the over. The over was pretty easy. There was a lot of moments early in that round. Just about every round, there was a moment where the fight could have finished. You thought, okay, maybe this is the it. Glover had a full mount in 3 out of the 5 rounds, and you know couldn't finish off of that. But at least the fight didn't go to decision because we were so sure it wasn't going to go to decision. Remember, I said you're going to play either person, just play them inside the distance. 30 seconds left on the shot clock. Yuri beats the shot clock. I don't think Glover even. I was telling Justin, I don't even think Glover had getting tapped out in his. Like, I don't think that they obviously they practiced jiu-jitsu, but that was not going to be in the playbook at all because he had his neck out there. Like, if he kept it out there, it wasn't going to be snatched. Like, it wasn't a worry at all. So, big mistake by him, and that's crazy with 30 seconds left to be able to pull that off. No hooks in, nothing. But, you know, it was in. That choke was in.
Talking earlier to Gene, he let us know that going into the 5th round, Yuri by choke or by submission was at plus 20,000. I mean, crazy odds, and it happened.
Yeah, like Ben said, that wasn't even in Glover's thought process leading up to this fight, probably.
And honestly, Glover just had to hear the final bell, and he was going to win that fight. I thought.
The judges did have him up on the 3 rounds going into that fifth round. John Anik came out and said that, so he would have won had he not tapped.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. But it was a hell of a card, and we were also wrong. I thought it was going to be in the morning. It ended up being at 5 a.m. in Singapore, and it was at night for us, which was good because I was able to get out of work, catch the Joanna fight, and catch the main event.
Hey, they were definitely piping in audio, by the way. That was a thing.
Oh, really?
No, they showed the crowd. Just
no, in the prelims, it was going crazy, like a huge crowd, and there was no crowd. Then the audio switches in the main card when it filled up, and you could tell, okay, it's no longer piped in.
I don't know. I saw the crowd, and I was like, maybe they weren't piping it in because I believed you for a little bit, but
yeah, there was empty seats, blue seats in the front rows everywhere. It wasn't filled at all. This is prelims, not at the main card.
Justin's on to you, Dana.
I'm on to it. Other organizations have been in trouble for doing it before, like, so it's not uncommon in sports to do something like that.
Hey, Roland, as long as it's only Justin onto Dana and not Dana onto Justin, because we need him to keep feeding the people, baby. All right?
Yeah, look, I got Diego with me too. Diego believes it too. I was. If you go on Twitter, people were saying it as well.
Okay, all right. I need to pay a little bit more attention to this, but that's enough about UFC. I just wanted to talk about it because we did have the tap hour. Just wanted to shed some light on what happened this past weekend. But now, without further ado, the reason why we're all here, let's get into the NBA Finals. Before we get into Game 5, though, we're going to look a little bit in the past at Game 4, the game that Ron said broke his heart. Ron, tell me why it broke your heart. Is it because the Celtics were up at half? You thought they had it in the bag?
Look at this fucking score here. We're up by 5 at home going into the half.
We're damn it.
Whoa, you're Celtic now.
No wonder he took it so hard. All right.
Hey, when you bet on the team, that's your team, right?
Exactly. That's your squad, man. I feel it.
Oh, we lost Ron.
We got technical difficulties. Ben, so third quarter at the halftime. What are you thinking here? You think this is a wrap? 5 points only?
There it is.
All right. No, go ahead, Ron.
No, I said I was gonna start talking like I'm from Boston. Like we fucking had these guys, man. They fucking, and then we lost, and Curry goes crazy, man. No, but I mean, look at 54. We're up 5. Look at the, the field goal percentages here in the first half. 46 to 39. 3-pointers were, I mean, it's almost double. Total turnovers, we still have our turnovers. Rebounds were about the same. But if you look at individually the stats, Tatum with 16, Jalen Brown with 12, and on the other side, you have Curry, who was the only one that was, doing well. Green was scoreless. Porter was scoreless. And then Clay had that terrible first half. I think they even put a shot chart up on ESPN. So it was more, to me, we'll get into it later, but I think it was more of a collapse from the Celtics than it was, Curry and the Warriors doing something different, in my opinion.
I can see where you're coming from there, especially because it's kind of been the Celtics' MO. They've been struggling to finish games throughout the playoffs. I mean, you could say that it comes down to, them not having the finals experience and closing out a game, but they've given up games that they should have won. You name it. These guys, they do have trouble closing games. So I see what you're saying. Ben, you want to say something?
Yeah, just at halftime up 5. I mean, that the Warriors' best quarter is the third quarter. I know Roland was talking about it a little bit pregame that, for this coming up game, that every quarter for the Warriors is minus half a point or 1.5, and the third quarter is minus 3. So they're notoriously just very good in the third quarter. You knew that they were going to climb back into the game, but the fourth quarter was where the Celtics had been kind of taking over the game. And at the beginning of the series, we had said that that's where we expected the Warriors to probably thrive, being the team that's been there, with the star power, the stars that have been there. But Curry stepped up. This fourth quarter, I know I was ragging on him bad, saying you can't be scoring 4 points, you can't be scoring 2 points in the fourth quarter and expect your team to win when we all know that Curry carrying him is their only chance. So he did. He scored, I think, double digits it ended up being when they started fouling and free throws at the end. But he had his 7-9 points in that quarter. And could you say the Celtics collapsed? Yes, but I'm not going to take that route because you all expect me to take that route. I'm going to say that the Warriors won because Curry stepped up and scored in the fourth quarter, and that's why the Warriors won. Shot selection was a problem, but the Warriors still executed and won the game.
What about you, Justin? What are your main takeaways from this game?
I attribute the win to credit here. I give Curry credit. 19 points at halftime. He ends up with 43. That's 34 or 24 points in the second half. He ends up closing that game out. 43 points by Curry to get the win. That's a little bit for me, like a little asterisk. I'm thinking, is he going to put up 40-some to carry them to a win again? Can he do that for 2 more games here in this series? If I'm the Celtics, I'm okay with that loss in a way because I saw what Curry did, and he hasn't been able to do it every game, and I don't expect him to at this point. I feel like that was like him giving it his all, and I expect it to turn for the Celtics here.
See, I don't know if he'll touch 40, but he has led both teams in scoring.
He's been the best player this series.
Every single game of the series. Yeah.
The thing is, he needs 40. That's the only way.
Yes,
he needs 40. He has to do it, and yes, that might be a lot to ask for, but the other games, I mean, he was averaging 33 for the series. If he had just done his normal fourth quarter scoring, he probably gets 39, 40 points in those earlier games. But when you score 2 points and 4 in the fourth, it's not going to work out. If he scores in the fourth quarter, he's going to be ending up with 40 because that he has that one quarter where he gets between 15 to 19 points. He just goes crazy in that one quarter. It just hadn't been the fourth quarter yet. This past game, like I said, he shot pretty well, and then with the free throws, he got over, but he needs 40, bro, if they're going to win the series, in my opinion. And some might say I'm asking too much. Ben, you're asking for 40. I'm just saying, when we're watching, Clay doesn't look the same. Mm-hmm. Jordan Poole's barely playing. His props are now at 12.5 points. It's got to be him. Draymond ain't scoring. Who the fuck is going to do it? It's got to be him.
The other thing is he's rebounding really well this past game. I don't think he's going to put up 10 rebounds again this game.
Nah, bro, they just let him get the rebounds the way that the Thunder would let Russell Westbrook get the rebounds, bro.
Well, he was like the third highest rebounder.
Bro.
He tricked y'all.
No, but something that nobody really talked about in Game 3 when the Celtics won, Steve Kerr not benched him, but he sat Steph the last 2 minutes of the third quarter and the beginning of the fourth quarter, and that's when the Celtics went off. So he didn't do that in game 4. He let Steph play a lot more. So I think that's something that we're going to see too is, this is the finals. You can't have your star players on the bench, whether it's for a minute and a half or for 2 minutes. So I don't think Kerr does that again.
Hey, and he also him benching Draymond at the end of the fourth quarter. What did y'all think about that?
A good call. You can't have too many non-threats on the court in the playoffs or in the finals right now. You can't have Draymond and
well, we can move to the next slide, the Draymond slide.
Yeah.
Who did he put in Roland for Draymond? I know when Draymond sat, who was inserted in the game? I can't remember who it was. You guys remember who it was?
Otto Porter. I believe it was Porter.
Because that was the only lineup change too. Is that Porter started the game, but
and Looney played a lot more minutes also, and I think that was part to Draymond sitting.
Yeah, and so you have it here. This beautiful slide that Justin put together. Got to give him his credit with a little live background and the theme of the playoffs. If you want to disrespect a player, you call him a cone. That's what Justin's calling Draymond Green here. If you look at his stats, it's hard to argue. He's just running. He's going out there and getting cardio. His cardio in, if you want to call it that. But nonetheless, he struggled. Draymond Green has not been himself. Offensively, continuing to be a non-threat. And he's making a lot of mental mistakes, and that's usually what we don't see from Draymond. You usually think of Draymond as a high IQ player, but he's gotten himself into trouble, and he's been seeking out trouble whenever he can get it from like Jalen Brown or Marcus Smart. He's always trying to get under their skin, and you got to wonder, has he gotten inside his own head? Is it starting to affect his own play? So here you have it. His stats are up there, and if you ask me, Steve Kerr will probably make the same decision again at the same point in time in the fourth quarter if Draymond's play continues like this, because you can't have him on the court with Looney. You can't have him on the court with Otto Porter at the same time. Just 2 or 3 non-shooters on the court is not good for you. So that's my piece on Draymond.
Diego says 9 rebounds and 8 assists isn't bad, and he's right. That isn't very bad, but I mean 2 points and just it's more of, I would say, the way that they're able to play him on the court, and how it helps defending the other players. He's straight up getting the Ben Simmons treatment, and yes, he shoots it a little more than a lot more than Ben Simmons, but it hasn't gone well at all.
Nope.
It's the step down is crazy, bro, because I mean it is Al Horford and it is the Time Lord Williams, but holy shit, this guy looks like the worst player on the floor.
We need to look at his turnovers too. His turnovers have been up there in each game, I'm sure.
And I think he's been fouled out of 2 out of the 4. Yeah, 2 out of the 4 games he got fouled out. I know 1 for sure. It might have been 2.
It was like 19 fouls to 17 points.
Yeah, there you go. I saw that stat. He is that the stat that the defensive end from the Cowboys put up on Twitter?
Michael Parsons.
Michael Parsons.
Yeah, Michael
He was
Parsons
even throwing. He's got NFL players saying they could do better than him.
Yeah.
Yeah, 17 points, 18 fouls. That's the stat line.
So even on defense, like, I mean, maybe Justin's little cone in the background, and I mean that's Pat Bev setting trends, man. Just calling people cones and then running with it throughout the rest of the playoffs. But his offense is bad. He got called for a hooking foul. Like at times it seems like he's trying a little bit too hard to get to the rim. And then, maybe a late pass to Looney late, deep in the paint. So,
I mean, if you're
for Draymond, isn't it a contract year for him? Doesn't he want to get paid like $30 million a year next year? I believe
he's got the podcast going. He's good.
I don't know, man, but he ain't gonna get that max.
He's got more podcast episodes than points this year.
But if you're Steve Kerr right now and you listen to, and we were in a room with you and we just told you everything about Draymond, all he's gonna do is look at you and say, "Hey, it's 2-2 and we have home court advantage." So as shitty as he's been playing, it's like a moral victory kind of thing with Draymond. He's on the floor, he's doing all the stuff that diving for loose balls and stuff like that. As much as I hate the guy, I mean, we can shit on him all we want, but the Warriors are still in position to take this series, man, which is nuts with him playing that bad. I mean, if you can have a cone on the floor and you're still 2-2, I mean, what does that go to say about the Celtics? Are they not taking full advantage of this Draymond situation here?
I think it's a combination, and Curry has played well. But what I'll ask y'all is, for Draymond, obviously this is his lowest. He can't go lower than the way he's playing.
Yeah,
right
he
now.
can't play worse than this.
So, but what I'll ask y'all is, do we see it getting better, or is there no way this series that it gets better? Because I think that he's in his own head. Like I said, he's hooking Marcus Smart.
I think he has the yips. He has the yips on offense.
So I'm going to say no, that it's not going to get better offensively scoring.
Maybe it'll get better in the sense that he'll just stop shooting. Because that's the problem. When he tries to do something offensively, like that's when he's getting in his own head. He's trying to dribble, do a little floater. He doesn't really want to do that. So he passes it and turns it over. I think he just needs to give it up trying to score, unless it's like a layup or something, because he was hitting some and one layups earlier in the playoffs. He had a little game or two where he was going off doing that, or I wouldn't say going off, but by these standards is what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I don't know. I don't see it getting better, but he can still be the playmaker that he's known to be. You just can't turn the ball over. And just got to stay within yourself. Don't try and force it. And he's obviously trying to force it. Like Ben said, he's in his head. Doesn't know what to do offensively anymore. So, yeah.
Well, some of the things that they pointed out, Jeff Van Gundy. I love when it's Van Gundy and Mark Jackson on the call, man, because they can point out some shit and then it happens. They were talking about whenever Williams from the Celtics came over to protect the rim on somebody driving for the Warriors, that Draymond would kind of just watch, and he would kind of stay out like in the elbow or even the 3-point area. But all he needed to do was just crash, and then he would get those offensive putbacks to get more points, or like a lob or just like a little dump off pass. And as soon as they said that happened twice. So maybe like Roland says, he does have, those yips, or he's, nervous, and he just needs to keep going back to the simple things like crashing the boards and getting easy buckets. I mean, I don't want that to happen, but
find a way to get easy buckets. That's a good point.
It's funny though, because if you played ball and like Roland says, the yips, really funny word to say. You don't hear that every day, but if you've ever played basketball and you've gone through it, it's not necessarily like a shooting funk. It's just like not feeling comfortable with the ball in your hands. Personally, I remember at one point, and it took
here we go.
It took like 4 games, dog, but I couldn't catch a pass, bro. Like, they'd throw a ball to me in the post, and I just couldn't catch the ball clean. I didn't feel comfortable at all. You know what I mean? So I understand what it feels like, but just in the finals, and yes, we know that he's been to 5 NBA finals, but does he turn it around in the NBA finals? At being as undersized as he is, he would have to start hitting 3-pointers, and I don't think that he is. If he's not hitting the 3-pointer, he's not going to be scoring down low unless it's off of a putback or something like that. So I don't see it getting better for Draymond. I think that he's going to play at this level throughout. If we get 6 games or if we get 7 games, I think he's staying there.
Yeah, and I think the Warriors will take like the top game 1 and game 4. They'll take 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and they'll take 9 rebounds, 8 assists, and 4 steals from Draymond. Like the scoring has never really been his thing, but I get what you're saying. He's probably not going to touch 10 points. You were talking about point totals earlier.
He was at
like
7.5.
Yeah,
that's the worst thing, man, is that he's playing like shit, and the Warriors still have a chance to win, and that's gonna hurt me the most, bro. Is that everybody's gonna say, Draymond, you're playing like shit, and he's gonna say, but we still got the shit. We still got the ring, right?
A lot of people said he might have getting sat down at the end of the last game if they lost maybe a little bit differently. Obviously winning is a cure to everything. Yeah. But it would have been interesting to see how it played out. I think though, even Mark Jackson said it. If you ask Draymond Green, I think even he'd tell you he'd take himself out at the end of the game. Yeah. With the way that he's been playing Game 4 of the NBA Finals. Come on, bro.
We'll have to tune into his podcast. Maybe he talked about it. But, let's go. Go ahead, Justin.
Well, I just wanted to ask y'all, how much do you attribute his bad play to outside sources? You have his wife with those comments about, when the Celtics were saying F Draymond. His mother came out recently now and said she's concerned over his son's play. And people are just criticizing him because in between games, he's doing podcasts. So there's a lot of focus on Draymond. Is that maybe not so bad for the team because Draymond's a guy that can handle that kind of pressure? Or do you think it's getting to him and this is why he's playing bad as well?
I think it's attributing to it. I honestly do think it's in terms of he's just not 100% zoned in. Isaiah Thomas was talking about it. You're in the NBA finals. Like, this is the reason why you play the game. Like, the reason why you play the 82 games and the playoff series is to get to this series and win these 4 games so you can get your banner hung at the first game of the season the next year and you can hold up the trophy. Yeah. And if you're not 100% zoned in to what you're doing, it can present problems at some of the most crucial points in the game because you're not 100% zoned in.
I think they would say that wouldn't LeBron not do any social media when they were in the finals? He would just like nothing.
He needs to go into zero dark 30 mode.
Yeah.
Zero dark 30.
Yeah. But I mean, fuck it. If it's fucking up his play, better for him. Hopefully he doesn't shit.
My cousin Gene was asking my brother the other day if Draymond did a podcast at halftime. but he was serious, bro.
Well, I'm sure that game that he was talking about was probably game 3, and I'll get to the reason why I'm bringing this up because I saw a crazy parlay out there. No, it was the Draymond under. They took the under points, the under rebounds, the under assists, the game under, and the Celtics to win, and they cashed all of them. It was a crazy parlay. And that's going to lead us to this because we did give out some bets. We didn't give that out. I just saw that going on social media while we were recapping Game 3 or everybody's throwing out their bets. But we gave out our best bets. I hit with my under 215. Ben, you hit with your over 26.5.
We talked about that Jason Tatum bounce back game after the horrible Game 3. Ron was on board with the points as well, but he also felt that, it's been pretty much Tatum ball handling, having to play make for them if it's not Marcus Smart. And Ron, how many assists did he end up with that night?
I don't know. David said I didn't even spell his name right. Did I? Is that misspelled?
Yeah, it's with a Y. Jay.
That's what happens when he fucks up one of Ron's plays. He gets his name spelled wrong, bro.
Calling me out, David.
Jay.
Jesus. Yeah, well, I got my play wrong.
Bridges' favorite player, bro. If anyone's gonna call you out, it's him.
Well, shit. Tell him to drop some dimes. And this is the game coming off where he had 13 dimes in game 1, and then he had 5 in the second game. So we said, he's gonna do it easy because he's just everything Jason Tatum tonight. And that was probably the only prop that he didn't hit. But good job, Roland, calling the unders. You've been riding with that. And Ben said how many points did he end up having that game? I think
30,
at least 30 something, right?
Yeah, good positive day we talking about sports. We got 2 out of 3. So we'll take that anytime. So let's move on, though, because we are going to give out some bets for game 4. And I'll just lead mine out real quick because it's one of those things. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Just stick with it. This has been an under series in terms of the pace. One of the only games that it went over is because they were just hitting ridiculous shots at a crazy pace, and you just don't expect that to keep up. Interesting tidbit. I am on the full game under 211, but this game or this series has gone over in the first quarter every game. That's interesting to see it so strong on the over in the first quarter and then to actually be kind of an under series or leaning towards the under depending on the number that you get. But yeah, that's where I'm going with this full game under 211.
Yeah, this has also been a series. Before I get to mine, we'll shout out the Wally Garza trend where if a game goes rowdy over, first half, usually it's going to even out and go under second half. And in this series, that's what happened. Game 4 with the Celtics scoring 6 points in the final 7 minutes of the fourth quarter. Yeah, that'll get an under home, even if you go over in the first half by 15, 20 points. But anyways, getting to mine, Marcus Smart over 14.5 points. I know Ron checked and it went up to 15.5. I was able to get 14.5. I still think that he gets the 16 if 15.5 is what you have out there. Just Marcus Smart, he's got to be the guy. Tatum and Brown have been playing pretty well for the most part. The third guy, it's going to have to be Marcus Smart, if not Al Horford. So I'm banking on a big bounce back game from Marcus Smart, a guy that me and Roland were talking. He doesn't hesitate to shoot the ball, so he's gonna throw up his 15, 16 attempts, And if we just need 15 points, that's 1 point per attempt, bro. If you can't do that, you belong on the bench, baby.
And you think the Warriors want him taking all those shots?
Exactly. That's a guy that the Warriors are daring to shoot. They're closing out late on him, leaving a little bit of extra room.
I actually have a lot of love for him in this series, man. I think he's one of the more controversial players on the team, but he controls the pace of the offense really well. And I think that the Celtics are a better team instead of going up and down the court and transition with the Warriors to set a slower paced half court offense. And whenever Tatum takes the ball up the court or it's Jalen Brown, you tend to see them kind of just push too hard. They'll drive into 2 or 3 players, and then that's when the turnovers happen. But I've seen a lot when Smart gets the ball, he puts his hand up a lot and he says, "Hey, chill, let's relax." And it's funny because Steve Kerr said we need to run transition off of defensive mistakes by Boston. And that's exactly what happened. And that's why the Warriors run the game. So hopefully Smart hits that prop for you, bro. But I like him when the offense runs through him. But I'm going with Looney over 16.5 points. Ben mentioned earlier that he played a lot more in this game, being that Draymond sat out. But Steve Kerr also said and came out and said that he should have played the more minutes in Game 3, which is why he played him more in Game 4. But to give you the stats on him, Game 4 he had 6 points, 11 boards, and 2 assists. That would have easily gotten you there. He had 12 points, 7 boards, and 2 assists in Game 2. And in Game 1, he had 9 boards, 5 assists, and 4 points. So he's playing 28, 21, 25, and 17 minutes was the Game 3. So as long as he plays over 20, if he plays 20 to 25 minutes, this should definitely get you there. So a lot of books actually had it at 16.5. I took it at 17.5 because that's the way my book had it. But 16.5 for Kevin Looney, and they're in Golden State. So I think there was a game when he had, 10 points in the first quarter, or 10 points at least in the first half. So I really like this play a lot for Looney, man.
Nice. I like that. He can just get more than halfway there with rebounds. Snag 12 rebounds maybe to this game, especially if it goes under. There's going to be a lot of missed shots.
How do you all feel about? I know that because it's kind of weird how nobody hit on any of the star players or the guys that we expect to impact the game. The guys who might play those extra minutes and not take those breaks, like Ron said. But Curry at 30.5 points, and he's been well over that in just about every game of this series. How do y'all feel about his number at 30.5? It was something I was contemplating.
Go ahead, Ron.
I mean, I think it's got to be an auto play, bro. I mean, I think I took it last game and it was at 28.5, which I thought was crazy because he's averaging about 32 points. So I think at this point, it's definitely an auto play. He's at home and he's the only guy who's been feeling it. Everybody said he's not getting help from anybody else, so he's going to put up more shots. He feels the pressure, man. I think that's what it's coming down to. He's realizing that everybody's talking shit and saying, hey, this is the first time that he's doing it without KD, without, all that help. So he wants to be the guy, and to be the guy, you got to beat the guy. And sometimes that's himself. I think it was, who was it? Somebody came out and said, Curry doesn't need any help. He just needs to be the man and score all the points. And I think he puts up shots. So I think it's an auto play at 30 or, above.
I'm thinking the only reason it's that low rolling is because it is back in Golden State and they expect, maybe some of the other role players to find it easier to get their groove into the game and maybe score. I think if this game was in Boston, we'd probably see like 32.5.
Yeah, I agree with you thinking, and you're thinking there in terms of why it's not a little bit higher. But even though it's not higher than 30.5, it's the highest that it's been, I think, this series for Steph. And his 4 totals, 34, 29, 31, 43. At 30.5, it makes me a little nervous. Like, had I gotten it at the number that Ron got, I think that's an auto play because you cash at 30. But he can have a 30-point game and not. What were you gonna say?
No, I think he said that was what he took him at in Game 4.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. If you can get it what he got in Game 4, then yeah, I'm a little bit more comfortable there. But 30.5 is a little high for my liking. The other thing that I thought was crazy on Steph, if you pay attention to all the props, his 3-point made for tonight is set at 5.5.
That's crazy,
That's crazy.
bro. Like I could see him hitting 5, but if it takes 6 to beat me,
Yeah, it takes
like,
6 to win. Yeah.
I think that was his number from last game too. I think it was 5.5 because I was like, should I take over 5.5 threes or should I take the points? And I went ahead and took the points. But yeah, just like Gene said in the chat, over 5.5 is crazy. But shit, he hits what 6 or 7 in the first quarter in game 2. So
another guy that I know Ben and I played him last game, and I've been playing this prop a lot throughout the playoffs, is Jalen Brown over 2.5 threes. I think that's a live one, especially if you're a Celtics believer. And we were talking about it off air too. Jalen Brown will hit those 2 threes in the first 5 minutes of the game,
which he did.
The way that he plays is just you got to get that third 3, and it didn't happen last game.
Another prop
it usually does.
And another prop that wasn't on here, and I didn't take it, but I think I don't know if you guys would think it's an auto play too. Curry to be the highest point scorer in the game. I think I saw it at like minus 160, and I was like, I don't know if I want to swallow that much juice, but is that something that you guys would play? He's been the highest scorer, I think, right, in every game so far.
Yeah, I'd continue to play that. I mean,
if you have that option, I think that you got to play that.
Continue to play that for sure. What do you guys think about Finals MVP? I know it's not a single game prop, but Finals
what are the
MVP,
updated odds?
He is minus 150.
Let me get it.
The last that I heard. I know Ron will pull up the odds, but I did see minus 150 today.
I mean, at this point, if you got the Warriors winning the finals, it's pretty obvious that Steph Curry is going to win the MVP, averaging over 30 points a game. There's no way that they give it to Andrew Wiggins. I do think he's been their second best player. But if the Celtics win the finals, then there is maybe, that debate of maybe Tatum, maybe Brown. Some people might think it's not even a debate. It's up for Tatum. But I think if you got the Warriors winning the finals, it's Steph Curry and nobody else that's winning that trophy.
Yeah, I think it's off because it's so close to game time. But
there you go. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I saw minus 150 and the Warriors to win the series. The person that put this stat out, they were at minus 140. So they're saying that there's greater odds of Steph winning MVP than the Warriors have of winning the finals, which is kind of crazy. There's a Celtics fan in the house, Bridgewater, saying that Jalen Brown deserves it.
That's hard for him to admit. Let me tell you that. That's hard for him to admit. So for him to say it.
No, I think he's just trying to hype up his boy Jason, the way I spelled it. I think he's just So I think he's just trying to hype him up and throw some reverse sal is what we call it in the sports betting world. So
so here let's close out on this odds talk with my cousin Gene's question here. Not necessarily a question. The way the odds are, bro, you figure he might win it if the Celtics win. Do you all think that there's any chance of that? You really think there's a chance Curry wins MVP of the Celtics?
If they didn't give it to LeBron, shit, he better not.
Yeah, I already knew you were going to say that. But I mean,
I think there's 0% chance.
I think there's 0% chance, but just thinking of the odds and what they're saying, the only scenario I could conjure up in my mind or think of is Steph continues to go off, right? He continues to go off for 35 plus, 40 plus, whatever. And nobody from the Celtics really takes over. Like, it's just like, but dude, that's the only, and they're close games too. It goes to 7.
There's no fucking, but then again, they gave him unanimous MVP because they might just do it.
Swear to God, I might not
just
watch
for us.
I might not watch basketball ever again.
The guys who are hanging on to that last thing of Curry hate, they might just do it for us, Ron. I mean, the Celtics still got to win the series, but I honestly think there's 0% chance they would give Curry the MVP.
But it is 100% chance that if they win, he's the MVP.
Oh, that's 100. That's
clear.
And
1,000.
That's why you would maybe take this bet at minus 150. Would you place money on that?
I still don't think the Warriors win. So if Warriors to win the series is cheaper, I would go that route.
All right.
This has been the NBA. It's like participation ribbon year.
Yeah,
just like the Lakers, just like everybody says the Lakers bubble and asterisk. This is the damn participation trophy NBA year because they came out with some whack ass Eastern Finals and Western Conference Finals awards. Of course, Curry wins it, and now we're talking give him MVP if the Celtics win. I mean, if that happens, bro, I swear to God, I will not watch basketball ever.
It's fixed, Ron.
The fix is in, bro. It's like this guy might not ever get to the finals again. So let's just give him the MVP to add to his accolades. And
Yeah, that'll give him the thing that he's missing in his legacy.
That would be some shit,
man.
bro. That would be
that would-
some
God.
shit.
So then you wouldn't be able to talk crap to Steph Curry.
Ever. He would be the only,
Yeah.
probably the second guy to ever win it while not winning the trophy.
I think
That,
Jerry West.
that would be a bigger stunt than him winning it and getting MVP, bro. Because if he lost and won MVP, that'd be a bigger accolade than winning it.
Do you
again.
think people would talk about that more, wouldn't they?
Oh, people would
Oh,
be pissed.
yeah, dude.
People would
Yeah.
be fucking pissed.
But before we go, what do you guys think needs to happen, or what do you see? What do you see? Ron will dig up David Stern from the grave to put him back in as commish. Hell yeah, I love me some David Stern. But what do you guys think is going to happen tonight? Not what do you think each team needs to do, because we kind of go over that all the time. Like Celtics need to do this, and the Warriors probably need to do this. What do you think happens or needs to happen tonight?
Needs to happen?
No,
Or I
it
guess-
happens.
no, yeah. I'm sorry. What do you think happens tonight? Like, just this is your prediction on the game. This is what you think is going to happen. Not if the Celtics do this and if the word. No, like this is going to happen tonight, and then we'll come back and we'll say, you know, this.
That
you're-
Inky
you're-
Finals MVP was as legit as it gets, Bridge. So I don't agree with your take. But Roland, how do you see it playing out today?
Honestly, it's hard for me to answer this question just because I have a bet on the Warriors to win the series 4-2. So I want, you know what? This is very tough for me.
absolutely no bias. Just,
I mean,
what do you think happens tonight?
No bias.
No,
What
just what do you think happens?
No, if I didn't
Like-
have, if I didn't,
you
if
have
I
no
didn't,
bets on the game.
I know what I'm
nothing.
saying is if I wasn't already slanted in my thinking or watching this.
All right, well, say it.
series,
Say it.
I think the Celtics will win tonight.
Okay.
Just because just because this is where my mind goes. They're a good bounce back team. We already know that they bounced back well off of a loss. We already know, you guys pointed out what it took for the Warriors to win this past game. It took a 40-pointer from Steph. You got some contribution from Clay and Wiggins, but other than that, you don't really know where your points are coming from. People keep on saying, "Oh, we're gonna get Clay game 6, Clay game 6," and
Yeah,
I
game
hope
5.
I hope that I'm wrong, but I don't know if that guy's gonna walk through that door at any point during this series. So all that said, the Celtics are the better defensive team. Braun, you brought up a good point. They benefit from slowing the pace of this game down and operating in the half court. If they can do that, I know we said no ifs, but give me the Celtics to win because I think that's going to happen tonight. Unless they get a Curry flurry or something early on and they stick around, they're going to win.
Ben?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in trends. I do like following trends. I know for NFL we did a little bit of Ben's trends, but I like trends, and the trend of the zigzag theory in this finals and the way the teams have just been alternating wins and losses. We've seen Boston win on the road game 1 in Golden State. We've seen Boston win on the road all playoffs. They've gone everywhere. They're not scared. They win. And Boston has led in, for a good portion in every game of this series. Did they? Yes,
Except for
they
game
had,
2, I think that was.
Yeah, except for game 2. That one did get a little bit out of hand early, but I feel like Roland said they can get their shots. They can get to their spots easier. They don't have a guy who they're just like handcuffed by the way the Warriors do. Will Jordan Poole play a lot this game? Will he not? We saw him in game 4. He didn't play much, bro. But when he went in there,
he had 10 points in the first half.
He hit his points prop over with one spurt of playing time. So yes, he's a big liability on defense, but he's also that guy who can go out there, get his own bucket, and if he hits his first 2, maybe his first 1, Kerr leaves him in there a little bit more to test the waters. But if he hits his first 2 at home, I think forget about it. So I don't have Poole contributing much this game. I got the Celtics bouncing back, closing out a game. Marcus Smart and Grant Williams tonight. I think that Marcus Smart and Grant Williams are going to make big plays.
So we can fairly say Roland would take Celtics in the points. Ben, you would take Celtics in the points. So I can make it unanimous and say Celtics in the points, and I'm going to give you a reason why. All right, so 2016 finals, right? LeBron's year went crazy. Was the year, averaging almost 30. So 41, 32, 41, but there was one game in there where he had only 19 points. And we've been talking about Curry averaging 30 and how his point props is like automatic. But I think there has to be some regression. Now, call me crazy, but it just might happen at home because of what Ben said too. How you guys were like, maybe we should take the unders tonight because he's going to try to get everybody involved. Steph might get in over his head and he might not have that many points tonight. And this could be his first game of regression. And another thing, the bench squad, bench teams, the bench players for the Celtics have been playing way better. We saw what they did in game 1 in the fourth quarter, and that really hasn't happened yet. They haven't really not taken over the game, but been have had such a big impact. And I think that happens tonight too, because they do play well on the road, as we saw in the Miami series. So I think bench for the Celtics steps it up tonight, and we finally see a little regression from Curry. And in all that doing, I'm taking the Celtics plus the points.
We got Gene in the comments saying this turned into Undisputed. Well, so I guess that's why you watch both of them, because you're a very big fan of Undisputed every morning. But I think he's saying that because he's on the Warriors side in this one.
I hope they win, Gene. I hope they win.
I don't see it. I mean, if Gene wants to do a little friendly something, we can get to it, Gene.
Shit. Call him out. Call him out now. The LeBron talk.
So
the LeBron talk.
Yeah.
You know Ron had to mention LeBron, bro. He's a Lakers.
Bro. You know it. For the land.
Nice
Gene,
threads,
this is for you.
There's some nice threads. And I like Ben's cap, too. Rocking the Celtics cap. I see that.
Oh, shit. Hey, show him the taco, man. Show him the taco.
This is like when the ball coach puts the headgear on Saturday mornings right here, baby. Celtics tonight. Celtics.
Is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we sign off for the night?
No, man, the game's about to get off here soon. So you got anything else, Ron?
Oh, hopefully this ain't the second to the last podcast of the year is all I got.
Yeah, and just like and subscribe. If you guys see us on YouTube, like and
share
subscribe. That helps out. Share us, please. We'd appreciate it. And that's it. All right, you guys have a good night.
Yeah, man.
Peace.
Go C's.